Welcome. I'm dying to do this. It's the first time I've ever been too tall for anything. If only my son was here to see it. Gather in, come in a bit closer. Don't loiter around the fringes. We're a big family. Come in. Welcome to Plymouth Energy Community's annual. I'm not sure what to call it. I've tried to call it a number of different things in a number of different years and get told off each year. I'm just going to say Bash this year. My name is Alistair McPherson, and I'm fortunate enough to be the Chief Executive of Plymouth Energy Community, and it is my role to lead you through this short and sweet celebration, and be, as much as I can be, an affable and optimistic compare. This evening is part of the Plymouth Social Enterprise Festival, which is a 2-week another celebration of all things great about the Plymouth Social Enterprise network and the social enterprise ecosystem that was part of what helped bring PEC into being in the first place. And there's a whole suite of training opportunities, talks and conferences are kind of happening this week. So please do have a look at the website and join in on those. We are here in one of Plymouth's leading social enterprise's amazing buildings, Rio's Market Hall, and so welcome you all here, and thank you, Rio, for hosting us. And we also need to welcome everybody that's welcoming us online. So we are streaming live to the world, whether they're ready for us or not. So thank you, everybody that's joined in and clicked in to view us virtually. So we're here to celebrate a number of things, and the Social Enterprise Festival is focused around the Sustainable Development Goals, global goals for local action. And Plymouth Energy Community has always been about taking local action on the global goals around energy, and so we seem to fit quite neatly into that, heading. We are part of a wider movement of organisations that seek to bring a kind of fundamental change to how communities and local people can engage in the energy transition. And so we kind of want to bring to that creativity. The incumbent models of energy supply, energy use, energy demand don't work, and we want to bring different approaches to that. And I think in Plymouth we're proving that that is possible. It requires significant amounts of creativity, and this evening's focus is on one particular kind of creative expression of that, and in the wonderful Moths To A Flame project that others will talk about. But we can't allow that to eclipse all the other creativity that is required to make the stuff that is happening in Plymouth around energy happen. That's around, the different partnerships and collaborations and processes and ways of doing things that you are all part of. You as our delivery partners, our installers, our volunteers, our members, our customers, our clients, you are all part of that journey, and we couldn't be doing it without you. So firstly, this evening is a thank you to everybody that's part of that journey. And secondly, it is a celebration of all things mothy. We've been talking about Moths To A Flame for over 2 years. I remember those early kind of conversations. It has been an absolutely brilliant journey to be allowed to be part of. And so I wanted this evening for you to share some of that journey, and there are those that can tell that story a little bit better than I can. So I think, first of all, we're going to do a little bit of video on my left. No? We're going to go to Claire, and then we're going to go to video. Thank you. So Claire, come and grab the mic.
I'm 5'3", and this is perfect. So an introduction to Moths To A Flame. I'm going to start a couple of years before it started happening. And that was in 2016 when Plymouth Energy Community decided it was going to have a look at volunteering and what shape might fit really well with a community organisation. And what we found out very quickly was that instead of picking a role and asking people if they'd like to come forward and take that role, it was working better if we just got to know people. So invited people along who were interested in what we were doing, what we were talking about, and finding out about them. What are your passions? What are your skills? What gives you joy? And all of a sudden we found out that actually the best ideas weren't coming from us at all. They were coming from the people that we were talking to. And that was the theme that we started on. And in 2018, that started to take, I mean, that's creative to begin with, isn't it? But it started to become creative in focus, shall I say, when we got together with Art and Energy, who are, I'm very glad to say, sat looking at me now. So we have Chloe, Naomi and Jenny, who are just sat over there, and it's an absolute joy to be able to introduce them because they fundamentally changed how we started working with people. So in 2018, we started having conversations about energy. Energy's a bit dry, isn't it? It's either a bit dry or a bit scary because if you like me, grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, all you can remember are the infomercials that shouted no at you whenever you went near a switch with a wet hand. And so when you start looking at things like solar panels, you think, well, they're dark, they're a bit utilitarian, I'm sure I'm not allowed to touch it. And then you start talking to Chloe and Naomi, you go, did you know, by the way, that you can etch them? So what do you mean, etch them? Surely that just ruins them, doesn't it? You're just graffitiing them. No, you're not. You're making them more efficient. Are you? That's interesting. So then we got a group of people together to start exploring that solar panels can be coloured, the cells can be coloured. You can tab them together even if they're broken. They'll still work. You can make a picture with them and it'll charge your mobile phone. And all of a sudden these things became joyous and not so scary. And that's where we started. So a lot of the pet pals got interested, which is what we called the volunteers, or volunteers called themselves, got very interested in what used to be considered very technical aspect. And then Moths To A Flame started appearing in conversations, which was intriguing. As what is Moths To A Flame? Well, it's an allegory about energy and our attraction to energy, that it's something that's beautiful, useful. I mean, you only have to say, these are mesmerizing, aren't they? But our attraction and overuse of it can be damaging. And that was where we started. And it's been on a few months and we're thinking, what can we do? What can we do to invite people in and to be creative? And what came very quickly was encouragement to take part in a crowdfunder that we felt wholly unprepared for. I think that's fair, isn't it? Wholly underprepared for. And it took off as a moth would take off, and we raised £43,000 in thank you to Plymouth City Council and I Mayflower and Sovereign and all the individuals who gave, because they could see that what we were trying to do was open doors and invite people in just to be creative, to play and to enjoy themselves. And then what happened after that is really quite phenomenal. You'll be seeing some pictures on there, but just as a short whistle-stop tour around it. Each month we would do something called Watch Moths. It was lockdown. As soon as we'd raised the money, that was it. Everybody had to stay inside. So this was our attempt at going online, and what an attempt it was. So once a month on a Friday night, moth experts from around the country would come together online, and we'd go to individuals' gardens and we'd watch them set up their moth traps. And then we'd speak a bit about community energy and we'd all get to know each other a bit. And then Saturday morning, we'd all gather and we'd open it up and watch the jewels as they came out of this beautiful moth trap. So not only were we learning about each other, we were learning about energy, the systems, the environment, our effect upon it. And that in itself was very moving, but it was just the start. Because after that came a children's book and artificial reality, somewhere where you could just colour in a moth and set it free in your living room with an app, and you could see people light up and all of a sudden start to engage with something that, you know, was traditionally very dry and maybe a little bit exclusive. That all culminated in taking 20,000 people's messages as little recycled moths from milk bottles that had been cut out. So, you know, we weren't making any waste. We were making beautiful things out of waste. And taking those up to the Kibble Palace, which is the Botanic Gardens in Glasgow. And that, I have to say, was absolutely beautiful. I didn't go into the Blue Zone. I didn't get involved in all the formal things that were happening. But what I did was sit in a very beautiful place, surrounded by 20,000 messages of hope. And the audio, you could record your audio clips, so people who couldn't be there in person were saying what they wanted the leaders to hear, world leaders to hear. And it was incredibly moving to be there. And I'll let Art and Energy pick that up and speak about what it meant to them. But one thing that I did come back with, and I think PEC as a whole notices, is that if you get people together, regardless of whether that is in a formal situation, I mean, we were just outside in Glasgow and 25,000, 50,000 people gathering there with the same interests, the same goal, very different skills, very different personalities. You can't fail for good things to come from that. You really can't. So for all of the press that followed COP and the disappointment and, oh, we failed, watch this space, I think. Watch this space, because there will have been connections made there that otherwise wouldn't have happened. And that's ethos with which we're carrying on. And hopefully, over the next few years, we'll get more and more creative and have more and more fun and explore more and more. And the climate emergency won't be such a scary thing. It will be something that you can have a bit of a say in and a bit of a go at solving. So do you want to watch a video?
So Moths To A Flame, and in that summary, was the creative idea of Chloe, Jenny and Naomi, and now pleasure to welcome them to the stage, stairwell, to tell their story.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being interested in Moths To A Flame. This is a real massive thing for us. We've worked on it for 2 years, and I think we're all a bit stunned and shocked by being here right now. The Moths To A Flame project was a mass participation project, an art installation for COP26 that started here. And we're really, really happy that we've had an opportunity to work with community energy groups, starting here, but all over the rest of the UK, to try and demonstrate that through collaborations with culture sector and the community energy sector, there's an opportunity to make a real difference. We were really stunned that over 20,000 people joined in this project, and the very first moths that we received came from Norway, and then we had moths coming from as far away as Australia. There's a huge appetite amongst people all over the place to get creative and to be involved and to feel like they can actually do something in response to the climate emergency. And when you bring together the culture sector and the community energy sector, something very special happens. People begin to be able to feel connected and feel involved in responding to the climate emergency. They start moving from the point of being passive to the point of being active. And through doing that, can alleviate eco-anxiety. We did some research, didn't we, where we were showing that, was it 3/4 of the people that we...
It was something like that. It was 3/4 or 2/3 of the people that engaged with energy in some form or other were actually suffering from eco-anxiety in some way, and that the making and the joining in and the taking action, however small, made a big difference to them. So we were surprised at the proportion, weren't we? Today we were, for the first time, beginning to reflect on this project in a bit more detail, and we were trying to express some of the things that we'd learned, and you know that exercise with the post-it notes and the sort of making a list, and it was such a huge long list of the things that we think we've learned, and Peck asked us to express some of those things, and it's really hard to pick a top 3, but one of the main ones was this producing a project which has many parts to play with, and that you can join in at whatever level you're at or whatever level that interests you, and so this project, we learnt that was one of the aspects that made it more successful. The playfulness and the resources were in video form and PDF form and invitations and in person and in Zoom. The making was huge, or just one little recycled milk bottle moth that was decorated. And that was that, you know, or great, long, deeply felt emotional poems written. All of that was part of the project. So that was one thing. Another thing was the significance of working across disciplines. Chloe's already mentioned our work with the energy sector and combining the energy and the cultural sectors, but just finding a collective of people that all wanted to make a difference, but some of them are electricians, some of them are artists, some of them are skilled in a whole range of, the sort of people, interpersonal skills, some of them are financial, so on. But anyway, that working across disciplines and making those connections and working as a team to, you know, with all going in roughly the same direction. It was very rich. So that was another one. And then I think the third one, which is typical of me, given where I come from, is about the significance of nature, understanding the flows of nature from the source, and flows of energy from the source in the land. You know, the understanding and connecting with nature for many people is a good route into understanding energy and the elements and the renewables. The way of living can come from that. So anyway, 3 things, but you might say other things as well. We'll move on to Jenny. Yeah.
So we told Jenny that she needed to talk about what we're going to do in the future and what's going to happen next.
And this is, if you had all evening, I could continue to tell you ideas, because you put the 3 of us together in a chalet, in a static caravan in Glasgow, after hanging thousands of these moths up in an evening, and they're hung up using paper clips and extra long litter pickers. You know, it's such a bizarre combination, but the 3 of us together, especially with the G&T each, and the ideas were just coming thick and fast. So, where to start? So initially, the moths, as we're saying, they're made out of plastic milk bottles. They're not just going to go in the bin. Part of the thought with the milk bottles was that they would be still recyclable in the longer run, but we've got quite a few ideas of what we're going to do with these. So we're going to be creating a publication to cover. It's going to include the poetry that was written specially for the project, and kind of an overview of the project. So that's going to come through. We're going to do something with the moths. It might be covers for the books. It might be cocoons for people to think about. It could be, we've got lots of ideas. We've also really enjoyed, again, working with that diversity of people, with organisations, energy communities, and so on. And so one thing we've learnt through this process is that dialogue, that conversation back and forth, and the number of times we've heard from energy communities, we'd like to talk to people about X, but it's not sexy, it's not interesting, people aren't going to engage with it, but we think we probably can make it interesting. So we've got ideas for things like a project to do with wool and jumpers, and that all comes in with energy efficiency and insulation. That's the word I'm looking for. Insulation. Going blank.
We were thinking about reusing solar panel that are not in solar farms anymore and turning them into sculptures.
Mm-hmm. And the energy from them may be supporting vertical walls of edible plants or growing sculptures.
As you can probably tell, ideas aren't our problem. It's honing in and working out. So we've got such a diverse group in the room this evening, and if you've got ideas or thoughts, or you'd like to come and have a conversation with us, we'd really enjoy that, because everybody has got something to put in, and really that was what the 20,000 moths were about. Was this thing that we all have, these ideas, these hopes for the future, these messages we would like to pass on, but as individuals, they go unnoticed. When you put them all together and we work together, then we can make a real difference.
There's something that we really want you guys to know, though, is that our tiny organisation didn't really exist before Plymouth Energy Community helped us to develop these ideas and realise them. And so we're really grateful to everyone at PEC for believing in us and taking a chance on doing what we do, because without you, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing either. So thank you.
Is it my turn to speak? Oh, good. Thank you, guys. I just want to... Moths To Flame is an absolute triumph. It is an absolute triumph of taking a creative idea about engagement energy and landing it spectacularly in the middle of the biggest conference that the UK's ever seen on climate. That ambition was quite audacious in the first place. We like that ambition, but to do it as well as it has been done is definitely worth that People's Choice Sustainability Award. It's worth more than that, I think, because it is something special, and it's the accolades I think will come continue to come. So that kind of creativity shouldn't eclipse all the other creativity that is kind of involved in doing what we do. We are about scaling action on climate at a local level, and I just wanted to kind of reflect a little bit in terms of where we are right now. We often, at this time of year in these annual bashes, kind of take the time to reflect and then draw in a speaker from outside to come and tell us about how brilliant it is elsewhere. And when we were conceiving tonight, we just said, nah, it's brilliant right here. Right here is really brilliant. What we're doing is, it is very, very noteworthy. So it's just going to just reflect on, where we are right now and the stuff that we've done collectively. And this is we collectively, everyone in this room's had a part of that. So our household energy team, our household support team, the energy team, has grown to something completely unrecognisable from the small fuel switching service that we launched on a community basis back in 2014. There's now like 11 staff working within it. Last year, in part because of the sadness of the economic situation we see a massive demand for our services. So there's something really sad about that. But equally, our team's ability to respond to that has just been, off the scale. So we've seen a 50% increase in the number of people coming and asking for our support, 33% increase in the number of calls. That's resulted in, last year, 6,600 households receiving support from those 11 people. 6,600 receiving supports from ourselves. So that's from a simple call through to some of those households getting a full retrofit package on their homes. There's some sadness in that, but some kind of celebration required, because we continue to deliver a very high quality service because of the commitment, compassion, understanding of the kind of person-centred approach we take to that advice. And it is documented really well in our impact report that we've kind of launched in the last few weeks. That work, which is often kind of focused around the vulnerable households, low-income households and fuel poverty targeted, has grown massively this year, again through the partnership with the City Council on a programme which was audacious, again ambitious, to deliver 300 retrofits in homes in 6 months. We didn't get to 300. We were too ambitious and we were slightly over audacious. But we did secure like 130, I think it was 127 homes, received 190 measures installed in those homes, with each of those homes getting an average grant of just under £10,000, supported by our team to get measures from simple ventilation measures installed through to lofts, cavities, external wall insulation, solar panels, heat pumps. This is the most ambitious, I say the word again, ambitious retrofit programme delivered in Plymouth ever. And we learned a lot from it. Some of it we did quite well, some of it we didn't do quite so well. But again, a lot of people in the room here tonight were part of that. So that's, again, a world away from where we were only, not back in 2013, but only 2 years ago. We've scaled massively, and we're on a track to do more next year. We've just secured more money with the City Council to deliver another 250 homes in the next 15 months. So we're on a journey of scaling the impact and domestic retrofit. So hats off to all of you in the room that have been involved with that work around household support. You deserve it. Round of applause. We always wanted to increase ownership and energy, and ownership comes in all sorts of ways. So community-owned renewables has been a big part of that, and this year's we've set off to build the biggest solar farm in the city. So you've hopefully seen some of the kind of comms around that, but that is, again, another audacious programme, ambition. And we're doing that alongside the household support work, alongside going to Glasgow to take a really impressive art installation there. We're also on track to build the biggest solar farm in the city, definitely within the city, but within a big area around us in the southwest. So that we hope to be on site next year. There's a few hurdles to jump over before getting there, but again, we're proud to be working on that project at the moment. Alongside that, and there's more. And there's more. We've done other creative engagement stuff. Through the work we're doing with Earth Education, we've taken nearly 230 students out to Untitled Community Solar Farm. They've had workshops in schools, and we're on track to do workshops with schools for another 6 in the next 6 months. So that kind of outreach work in terms of using our community-owned assets as a platform for conversations around energy and climate action is going well too. And there's more. We're trying to build new homes. I wake up sweating about the ridiculous ambition we have sometimes, and it's these ideas that come about, oh yeah, we could build some homes, we own some solar panels, but we're quite close now to, through the organisation PEC Homes we've established as a community land trust, to planning approval for 70 affordable, community-led net zero homes. That's stuff that you guys are doing. You guys online, you guys in the room, you guys are doing it. So we're doing that. That's not government making it happen. That's us as local, passionate people that believe a different future is possible and want to make it happen, making it happen. So there's a lot to be proud of. So really, none of that, I think, eclipses what Moths have done this year, and we've been very, very lucky to be part of that. So thank you all for coming along this evening and sharing a drink. Please go and see the virtual Moths in the Dome. They're amazing. Please also go and have a look at them. They're here. They're also out at Ocean Studios as part of Illuminate. Do participate in the rest of the Social Enterprise Festival, and please come again next year. I'm sure we'll have another bash. Thank you.